If you want to have a healthy immune system, you need to laugh often, view life with a positive eye, and put yourself in relaxed state of mind on a regular basis. Now I'd like to call on stage our next presenter, Dr. Rubab Ramiz, a postgraduate trainee in Physiology Department at Islamic International Medical College. She is going to present the effects of synchronized lifestyle modification program and physiotherapy in improving diabetic neuropathy of more than 5 years duration.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Rubab and I'm going to present my article. The topic of my article is effect of synchronized lifestyle modification program and physiotherapy in improving diabetic neuropathy of more than 5 years duration. Diabetic peripheral neuropathy is defined as the signs and symptoms of peripheral nerve dysfunction in a patient with diabetes mellitus whom other causes of peripheral nerve dysfunction have been excluded. It occurs in about 50% of type 2 diabetic patients. DPN is classified in as symmetric and asymmetric polyneuropathy, in which distal symmetric polyneuropathy is the most common form, which is defined by the Toronto Consensus Panel as distal symmetrical and length-dependent sensory motor polyneuropathy, mainly due to metabolic derangements and microvascular disturbances. It is commonly present in 10 to 15% of the patients having type 2 diabetes mellitus, and it accounts for about 75% of diabetic neuropathies. DPN is managed through lifestyle modification and pharmacological intervention. Lifestyle modification in synchronized lifestyle modification is the new emerging field of the lifestyle medicine, which is defined as the personalized homeostasis restoring liver-centric lifestyle modification program that works through the correction of the body clock rhythm. The external timing cues that can reset the body's central clock are known as synchronizers, Z-Gevers, or entraining agents, and the whole process is known as circadian rhythm synchronization. These are light, arousal stimuli, for example, exercise, temperature, and our food that we take. These circadian clocks then cause the functioning of beta cell clocks, causing insulin secretion and insulin production. From the skeletal muscle, they cause insulin-mediated glucose uptake, and from the hepatocytes, they cause insulin-mediated glucose production. So the objectives of my study were to determine the effects of SLP and physiotherapy on Michigan Neuropathy Screening Instrument, Berg balance scale, and biochemical parameters, including fasting blood glucose, HbA1c, and lipid profile, and nerve conduction studies of the diabetic neuropathy patients having more than 5 years of duration of disease. And to compare the effects of adjuvant therapy with synchronized lifestyle modification program and physiotherapy on MNSI, BBS, fasting blood glucose, HbA1c, lipid profile, and nerve conduction studies. The study was done in Physiology Department, Al Mizan campus, along with the Physiotherapy Department of the Railway Hospital. It was of 1 year of duration. It was an experimental study, and the study sampling was done through simple random sampling, and total 240 individuals were recruited. The study was conducted through the approval of Ethical Review Committee of International Islamic Medical College. Study was clinically registered, and the clinical registration number is mentioned here. So the both males and females having 40 to 75 years of age with more than 5 years of clinically diagnosed patients of type 2 diabetes mellitus and the neuropathy assessed to MNSI were included in the study. And the patients having less than 40 and more than 75 years of age with duration of diabetes less than 5 years, type 1 diabetics, and the patients with comorbidities of heart, liver, and kidney disease, any peripheral nerve dysfunction, and patients with neuropathy due to any other disease were excluded from the study. This was my study plan. The patients were equally divided into control group and experimental group, and then they were divided according to the duration of the disease in group A1, A2, and group B was divided into group B1 and B2. All the groups were then subjected to pre-experimental evaluation that includes the assessment of their lifestyle, lifestyle assessment, calculation of BMI and blood pressure, assessment of DPN, biochemical markers, and nerve conduction studies. This was the lifestyle questionnaire that through which the patients were assessed. These were the charts through which the patients were assessed. Then these groups were further divided according to the treatment they were taking. Their subgroups were further divided, and group 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A were subjected to SLP only. Group 1B, 2B, 3B, and 4B were subjected to SLP and physiotherapy combined, and Group 1C, 2C, 3C, and 4C were subjected to physiotherapy only. After 12 weeks, they were subjected to post-experimental evaluation. This was the SLP dietary intake chart, and the compliance was ascertained through the phone calls. Aerobic exercises, resistance exercises, one leg stance and tandem stance exercise, and flexibility exercise was done with 3 sessions to more than 5 sessions per week. Regarding results, these were the demographic features of the patients that were included in the study. MNSI subjective scoring, MNSI objective scoring, BBS scale scoring, fasting blood glucose, and HbA1c levels were found to be significant in the patients of group 2B as compared to the other groups. These patients were taking insulin and having duration of the disease of 5 to 15 years. Serum lipid profile, serum total cholesterol was found to be significant in group 2B patients, but serum triglycerides were found to be significant in group 1B patients. Serum HDL was found to be significant in group 1A patients, and serum LDL was found to be significant in group 2B patients. Nerve conduction studies were not found to be significant after post-experimental evaluation. Regarding conclusion, SLP and physiotherapy was found to be more effective in improving the degree of neuropathy, balance, and biochemical parameters in type 2 DSPN patients on insulin when administered during initial 5 to 15 years of diagnosed diabetes. And it was also found that SLP, when combined as an adjuvant therapy, was very effective in improving the biochemical markers and the degree of neuropathy. This study paves the pathway for incorporating the SLP in the treatment regime of the diabetic patients in an attempt to reduce the anti-diabetic medications. A randomized control trial must be conducted, and the role of SLP on other diabetic complications and other metabolic diseases must be highlighted. These were my references. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rubab. As you begin to heal the inner you alter your immune system. Time to call our next presenter, Dr. Javeria Iftikhar. She's Assistant Professor from Pharmacology Department, Islamic International Medical College, Rawalpindi, and she is going to present her article on comparative and combined synergistic effects of black coffee and metformin in treatment of type 2 diabetes mellitus. Dr. Javeria Iftikhar.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Dr. Javeria Iftikhar, Assistant Professor Pharmacology in Rifa International University. Topic of today's presentation is comparative and combined effects of black coffee and metformin in treatment of type 2 diabetes mellitus in mice. Moving on to the introduction. As we all know, diabetes mellitus is a rising well-being concern with numerous difficulties and increased pervasiveness. This is a bar graph. This is actually a data collected from American Diabetic Association in year 2010, which shows that by the end of year 2030, there will be 72% increase in diabetic patients only in Southeast Asia. There is another study shared by International Diabetes Federation, which shows that by the end of year 2030, there will be 439 million patients of diabetes globally. So to manage type 2 diabetes, there is a constant war of attrition, which focuses on the current management of diabetes mellitus with the introduction of anti-diabetic drugs. But we need to extend that focus, increase and include such things in our diet as well, and focus on the healthy lifestyle and include items from our pantry and kitchens. Black coffee is one of these products. Black coffee is used worldwide as the most customary breakfast item for few centuries. Many people start their day with a mug of coffee in their hand, but they don't know that it doesn't only awaken them, it can also treat so many diseases, and we are going to focus on diabetes mellitus. So objective of our study was to enlighten the role of black coffee alone as an adjunct to metformin in treatment of type 2 diabetes mellitus. Materials and methods. The study was randomized control trial, which took place for the duration of 1 year. There were 50 male bulb albino mice included in study, and we have done sampling by simple random sampling. The study was settled in the Department of Pharmacology, Islamic International Medical College, in collaboration with National Institute of Health, Islamabad. Statistical analysis, the data was entered and analyzed in SPSS 21. One way ANOVA was applied for the mean comparison of quantitative variables between the control and experimental groups. Post hoc Tucky was applied for multiple comparison among the groups. A p-value of less than 0.05 was considered as a significant value. Results. These are this table depicts the HbA1c levels, mean plus minus SEM on the day 61, that was the day of terminal sampling. Here we can see in the group 2, the percentage of HbA1c was 7.82%, which decreased by the combination in group 5 to 4.9%, which is very much comparable to group 1. That shows that it has actually reversed the diabetes in mice. This is the graphical representation of same results. Here you can see in the graph that the group 2 was disease control group, and per mean percentage of HbA1c was about 7.8%, which has lowered by black coffee alone. And when black coffee was given as adjunct to metformin in group 5, the HbA1c levels were falling actually near to the group 1, which is very much comparable. Conclusion. Black coffee as adjunct to metformin as treatment for type 2 diabetes is very beneficial, as it will save from the potential risk of failure of metformin monotherapy, and it will avoid the side effects of traditional oral hypoglycemic combination used nowadays. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Javeria, for such a wonderful presentation. Our next and last presenter is the student of Rifa University, Ms. Sadaf Zafar, who is going to present an article on resolution of stress in mothers with ASD children coping strategies through lifestyle medicine intervention. Ms. Sadaf Zafar.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sadaf Zafar, MS Clinical Psychology Scholar. By the grace of Allah, I've completed my research under the supervision of Ms. Samia Khalid. My topic is resolution of stress and coping in caregivers of ASD children through lifestyle medicine as an intervention. First of all, I would like to go the background of the study. Whenever a child comes to the world, the first relationship he makes with the world is with the parents. Parenting is very intimate and the demanding relationship in the world, but it becomes very struggling and demanding in case of a special child. So, and it becomes more difficult when the etiology of the disorder is not known to the parents. According to the Pakistan Autism Society, there are almost 4 lakh children who are suffering through ASD, autism spectrum disorder. And the studies have shown that among the parents, mothers are more caring towards the health of their children, and they face more stress as compared to the fathers. So my aim was to assess the effects of lifestyle medicine therapy upon the stress level and the coping strategies in the mothers of ASD children. This is the previous studies done on which that showed that if parents are rightly guided about the health of their children, they can be beneficial for improving the health outcomes of the child. So the objective of my study was to measure the effect of lifestyle training upon the perceived stress and the coping strategies. And the hypothesis was there is an effectiveness of lifestyle medicine training upon the perceived stress and the coping strategies. Going towards the method section, it was an actually experimental study which consisted of 6 weeks, and it included only 13 mothers. They all were 25 to between the age range of 25 to 35, and they were the educated, graduated mothers, and their age of children were 3 to 7 years. The criteria was also included that the mothers had not taken any previous therapy regarding the training of their child, and it was also included that the only those mothers were included whose children were recently diagnosed with ASD. My study had three phases, and in the initial phase, phase one, it was a screening phase. During this phase, I used perceived stress scale through which I measured the stress level of the mothers. Then the brief coping scale was used to measure the coping strategies of the mothers, which had three types of coping strategies: problem solving, avoiding coping strategies, and the emotional coping strategies. And the SLP lifestyle medicine scale was also used to assess that how they are going having their eating habits and their sleeping patterns, workout level. All these were used to assess their health concerns. Next, trans-theoretical model was also used. That it was used to actually know what was the willingness of the mothers to change. During these 6 sessions, their initial history was taken, and then they were provided the guidelines about the food intake. They were guided about the right sleeping patterns. They were also discussed about their workout sessions, and their relationships were also discussed during all this. They were given the pamphlets. They were also provided with the videos for the right coaching. And in the third phase, they were reassessed upon all the skills that were used in the initial screening test. During analysis and the results, pair sample t-test was used, and it showed the clearly significant difference among the stress level of the mothers, which initially their stress level mean was 2.96, and then it decreased to the level of 2.27. The strength was my study was that it was beneficial for the mothers of ASD children. It was the coping strategies were also found, and but the limitation was it was a very limited group of mothers, and the only urban population was taken. If anyone wants to pursue with the topic, they can go for the rural population also, and only the parents whose children were recently diagnosed were included. In concluding, in a nutshell, as all we believe that only a healthy body keeps the healthy mind. Similarly, only physically and mentally healthy parents can upbring healthy children. So if we promote the health of, if we want to promote the health of children, we should be focusing upon the mental and the physical health of the parents too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sada. That's all for this session. A big round of applause for all of our worthy presenters. Please clap. Now, I would request our Honorable Chairperson, Dr. Khalid Farooq Danish, to come on stage and conclude the session. Sir, please.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. It's a matter of honor and pride for me to be able to address all of you at this occasion. I'm thankful to all the worthy presenters who gave delightful presentations to all of us, and the audience for the patient and attentive listening. I will not take much time, particularly because I'm trying to save my time for Jummah prayers as well. Lifestyle medicine, as it has been described as a branch or as a medicine that has traditionally been identified as a science of healing, is the science of life. It is in this way that we have to think of lifestyle medicine entirely differently from the conventional medicine, because conventional medicine looks at the disease, find out ways to treat the disease and let the patient become symptom-free and leave him alone. It is there that the lifestyle medicine takes up the patient and tells him how to live his or her life in a worthwhile manner. So the lifestyle medicine addresses not just the disease and not just the healing. It is a science of life, and this makes the life worth living. I would especially refer to the 6th pillar of lifestyle medicine that addresses the social connectedness and the social relationships. When we think of social relationships, we are actually thinking of people around us, the family and friends and everything. But let me remind you that our society does not just consist of people around. It consists of all the nature around us, all the elements of our environment, the trees, the birds, the leaves, the flowers. And this is where the lifestyle medicine makes us delightful, What happens to us when we are tense and almost burning out from our work? We take 3 days vacation, go to northern areas, spend some time in the vicinity of good nature, and come back serene, tranquil, and relaxed. This is very much the job of lifestyle medicine. I'm sure lifestyle medicine people will discover ways to treat rheumatoid arthritis by a 3 nights stay at Lulisar Lake, chronic ulcerative colitis by a 5 nights stay at Jheel Saiful Muluk, and maybe treating minor disorder locally at Margala Hills. With this, I shall conclude my talk. Thank you very much, all of you. Thanks a lot. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, sir. And then I would thank all the presenters, chairperson, co-chairperson, and the audience.